This is a Ben Frank Connection presentation.
Before we get started, I just want to do a huge thank you to our top tier YouTube members, our World Champ level A, Triple Crown level Parmachezel, and our Grand Slam champs Freak Maniac 90210 and Raz. If you want to join the YouTube members family, hit that join button, or you can do tips and donations during this live stream. Make sure you follow ABJ on all podcast platforms, whether Spotify, Apple, or subscribe here on YouTube to the ABJ Podcast channel or High Tension Wrestling. All right, let's get on with the show. What's going on, everybody? We are live. ABJ Podcast is back once again with episode 131. Elijah St. James. Make sure you guys check the links below for not only my guest, but my pages as well. Follow on all social media. Support any way you can. Where there's some merchandise available. If you want to grab some new merch, there's the basic merch of all of the stuff that's there all the time, and then we do a rotation of merchandise throughout the month. So the new ones available right now. There's a little Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. We got a little WCW. Dynasty just came. Dynasty might go away within a week or two, as well as the 421. So make sure you go grab those logos as soon as you can. They will be gone by the 13th. If you want to vote on some new logos, head over to our Discord where we have votes all the time for the new stuff that's coming out. We have so many different styles and logos that you can pick and choose from. We got some great content coming up as well. Another interview coming up in a couple days with Yeti, a local rapper from Monte City here, as well as a movie review with Kim Rose as we cover the movie Megan. So if you want to be a part of the podcast, whether it be interviews or movie music reviews, come hit me up and we'll have some fun discourse. Once again, also make sure you go over and subscribe to the ABJ Podcast on YouTube, as well as going live here tonight for the first time on High Tension Wrestling's YouTube page, trying to help them get their watch hours up so they can get the cool features like I do, where they can get paid off of monetization and do memberships so that wrestling promotion can continue to grow. Without further ado, let's bring in our guest here today. Got to finally meet him at New Era Pro Wrestling. I got to do my commentary debut for this debut company. He was part of a four-way. Unfortunately, he wasn't sponsored by, Louis Castellillo like me and the dude were. But I think going forward, I think sponsorships are going to be keeping an eye on him because he's very, very entertaining. And what better way to give him a platform is right here on the ABJ Podcast. So without further ado, let's bring him in, Elijah St. James.
Hey,
what's going on, my guy?
What's going on, guys? How are you?
Welcome to the podcast. We had some people back out and we talked about it on the at the show. And he's like, you're like, hey, I'd love to be on. I said, well, let's get it going. I added to the list. We had a real fun conversation. Once again, meeting me in person, being genuine, being yourself will move you up the list. Flattery gets you everywhere,
Well, how not be me?
Oh, man. So, man, how long have you been in this business of wrestling? How long you been doing this crazy, crazy thing of getting dropped on your head, right?
Well, I haven't been in it like super long. I believe 2 years. I think 2022 was my first match in an ECPW show. It was a memorial show for, I think, Chad Jackson's mother, if I'm correct. And I was in a battle royal, and I'd been training for like about a month and a half. And they tossed me in there, and I was backstage with Luca Mancini, and he gave me a pep talk and told me to go out there and kill it. And ever since then, I haven't looked back, man. I've loved it. I've loved every aspect of it, and I can't wait to wrestle every time, any chance I get. You know what I mean?
Luca Mancini's a real good dude. He was another one supposed to be on the podcast, but just every conflict issues, we could never get it down. But I do respect him a lot, so it's cool you're putting that name out there. A real cool dude. How long? Where are you based out of, and how did you find your first wrestling school?
Well, I'm based out of Endicott, New York, and actually, believe it or not, I was in the gym, and it was Chad Jackson who he came up to me because I was doing lat pull downs, I believe, and he came up to me and he tapped me on the shoulder. He's like, "Hey, do you want to know a better way to do those?" And I was like, "Absolutely, man. I'm always trying to learn." We got to talking, and he said he was a professional wrestler, and me, at that point, I was just a fan. I hadn't even been to any of the local shows like in the area or anything. I was just watching WWE like everybody else and playing the video games. But I was in the gym training for I didn't know what at the time, and he told me he was a professional wrestler, and I said, "Well, where do you wrestle out of?" He's like, "Actually, we got a school right up at the mall," and I was like, "The one right here?" And JC's like, "Yeah." And he texted Johnny Moose and said, "I got a kid that's gonna come down and he wants to try out and to let Jeff know." And I went and yeah, it was a great experience. It hurt.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But growing up, were you always an athlete? Was sports always a thing for you? You're at the gym, you're working out here. Is it something that's always been part of your life?
Not always. It started in high school. It started because I wasn't always super tough, and there was an incident when I was in high school, like my freshman year, where this kid like ran me out my backpack because I was so shook. And then ever since then, I hit the gym like a madman, and I got real jacked. So when I came back the next year, everybody like started to pretend to be my friend and everything. And I was gonna go beat the shit out of that kid. And apparently he ran over a girl in the parking lot because he was high on drugs, and I never got the chance. But I guess, karma is more of a bitch than anything else, but it perpetuated me to like work out and get in better shape. And I like the attention I received from it. And I like, being able to move easier and just being in better shape. Because before then I was a complete couch potato. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah. Now, were you like a little chubbier, or have you always had like the same frame?
I was skinny and I had a little bit of a gut. So I looked like not grand at all. So definitely molded into something respectable these days. And
interesting.
And I believe anybody can do it because I looked absolutely awful, and I got here, so I believe everybody can do that.
So without having much of like sports background, or like, because I feel like when you grow up and you're on like basketball team or football and you go through those 2-a-days or 3-a-days, like that's an experience that you have no idea what you're going through until you do it. Where like they essentially try to break you, they try to destroy you, and I think learning that at a younger age is important for character, like especially if you're growing up playing sports. So not experiencing that and then kind of going from just gym to wrestling school, how was that transition?
I mean, I did try out for all the sports teams. I just wasn't good at them. Believe it or not, I don't know why. I've never been very athletically inclined. But for wrestling, it's something that just seemed to click. Before wrestling, I did Muay Thai, I did mixed martial arts, and that seemed to really click for me too. I guess it's something about combat sports that I do enjoy. So I did that. So that was a sport that I did do for a little while. So that leans a little more towards combat sports, the inclination there, which is always
that really checks out. Because
But
watching
yeah,
you perform, you don't have bad footwork. Like your footwork is good. You don't look like you're not an athletic person. Like I've seen people who want to be wrestlers but are not athletic, and they have 2 left feet and they bounce all over the place, and they're just not, they don't move right. You could tell the way someone moves, or when someone plays basketball or football or they're in the ring, they're not athletic. And I didn't get that from you. So now hearing that you did have a little bit of background in some type of things, I can definitely see that now.
A little bit, yeah. I was even told in training one time with my lockup, he said, "I like that little stutter step you do at the beginning there. It looks very MMA oriented." And I was like, "Yeah, I did do that, and I was really good at it." But the reason that I picked up and my footwork is so good in wrestling is honestly just because I love it and I can put like all my attention and focus into it. That's why nothing comes super naturally to me. I'm not like a super gifted individual. Everything that I've ever had, I've had to go out and get. Most likely the hard way, and I've had to learn the hard way. But like when you love something, you put your all into it, and when I do that, I can get pretty good, and I like to think I'm all right. I appreciate that you think that I look good. I've got everybody fooled that I'm athletic. No.
Yeah, I didn't get a vibe of someone who's only been in 2 years from you. Like I think you conduct yourself very well in the ring. And I honestly, after watching the match, and no disrespect to the booking or the show or anything like that, but I was like, I kind of want to see this guy in some one-on-one action. I thought the 4-way was kind of a disservice. I think, well, everyone in the 4-way that was in that match, I don't think there was any slouches in it. I think it was a very star-studded 4-way match of showcasing 4 good talent. But I'm excited to see you more in some singles action.
Absolutely. I mean, I definitely love singles matches. It gives you a chance to really, show your stuff and prove what you can do in one-on-one combat. But it was a crazy 4-way, man. I'm not gonna lie. it was a lot of fun. I got a plate of food in my face, which I'm gonna have to talk to the dude about in the future. But
someone that was at the show was very curious of why your face was red. They thought you were bleeding at first. I go, no, it was tomato sauce. It was it was not blood. Yeah.
Well, that was the behind the scenes action. Like everybody was looking at the victor, and I was head was a little rattled, and I thought I had won. I was stumbling off to the back, and I thought he was giving me a plate of food, and then I got it shoved in my face. So
pulling the curtain back a little bit, I always say to people, especially you and there was another person in the match who portray more of a serious roughneck character that was in that 4-way. And I always say, like, it's cool to play that character, but it's interesting to see how that character bounces off other characters. And I think a really good person, even young in his career, that really makes people challenge their style and challenge their character is the dude. So watching everyone kind of, like, I've seen Squid and the dude go at it. I've never seen you and the other opponent go at it, but it was very interesting to see how you were able to adapt your character and your style and be like let loose a little bit, maybe add a little comedy aspect in, and it was still very entertaining. So that was a cool little benchmark. I thought, like, dudes are cool. Like, you can get work rate out of the dude, but then also you can work with the dude and play to a crowd and have fun.
That man are absolutely insane. And yeah, I mean, my character Elijah St. James, for a character like the dude, he's definitely going to be agitated and irritated. Like, this guy's not taking any of this seriously. I definitely. So that you can work amazing comedical things in with that, just because of how serious. And I want this to be taken seriously. The craft that we're doing here is something to be. It's revenant. You need to be paying attention. This guy's like, oh, hey, mom. So there's so many things you can do with the comedy aspect with that, because, like, obviously the food to the face, man. And like, how would any serious, hard-hitting kind of guy react to that? I freaked out, I was like,
yeah.
Ah!
Yeah.
And then that's the funny part, when you see this tough guy that's always got a mean mug, and he's yelling at people when he freaks out because he has no idea how to react. Because he was caught off guard with a plate of some nice pasta.
There was also another guy that I'm sure we're going to talk about coming up in a little bit as well. But Ryan Vox in the chat. What's going on, buddy? But Sean Carr, someone who I think is a benchmark. There's a few names in this business who, when I say, like, man, if you want to, if because they're still around and they're still working and they're still helping the next generation. The two big names for me is Deshaun Pratt at CZW. If you want to go train, he keeps telling me to say it on the podcast. No charge to go to the CZW dojo. Pay and sweat. That's all he wants. Come work hard. Deshaun Pratt's been around a long time, a really good guy to train and work with. And Sean Carr is that guy as well. Just been around forever, super knowledgeable. He's going to be real with you. He's going to be tough with you, but also a genuine sweetheart of a human being. And hearing him react to the talent and talk about the talent and, like, saying about the dude, like, bro, the dude's going to be around for 20, like, he could do this for a long time because of that character. And he's going to be like the ooh la la, the next generation ooh la la. Like, the guy doesn't have to go out and kill himself, and he can still work and get a crowd over. So that was really cool to have Sean in the locker room. But going to your first school, and your first year, that first couple hell days where you go through everything, what was it like being a fan and then entering in the world of professional wrestling and physically being in there and learning it?
Well, it was surreal at first. Obviously, the first day I showed up, I just showed up. I didn't know what to expect. I had my jeans on and a t-shirt, and I rolled into the ring, and Jeff Green, I was like, all right, I'm gonna give you the rundown. He's like, I'm gonna show you how to bump, and then I'm gonna run you through the drills and whatnot. So I was giving it my all, 100%. Like, he said, throw yourself down on the mat. And I was like, throw myself down on the mat? All right, say less. I'm going to do this. I've always loved this. I'm going to do it. Boom, as hard as I could. Flip bumps, flipping as hard as I could, which I then paid for the next day. And I started questioning everything. I was like, God, can I do this? Can I do this? And then, then day 2 and 3 came, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to go back on Wednesday. I'm going to get back in there. That was a lot of fun. But, definitely from being like non-athletic prior to, because it was a bunch of years since I was doing Muay Thai, and I was just in the gym, so my body was not prepared for the impact that it was about to take and like the sudden change of that. But I got adapted to it pretty quickly. if you're gonna be dumb, you got to be tough. So.
I love that quote. I love Go Jackass. If there's a thing from being a fan and watching on TV and being a fan since you're a kid and then transitioning into the world and learning it, what are certain aspects to the business that you were like, oh, I didn't even know that was a thing? Like almost like kind of like not pulling back the curtain too much, but like how learning how the donuts are made essentially.
A lot of it actually, like a majority of it. Like when watching it, I would try not to think of like, okay, this is scripted. I would never pay attention to that, so I would never really delve into how any of this was done. So, because I wouldn't want to rob myself of the joy of it. You know what I mean? I didn't want to overanalyze it. But getting into it, like I was like, everything was surprising. Like, when people bleed, I was like, I thought he just headbutted metal or whatever and started bleeding. That is a way you can do it, but that's called the hard way, and we don't try to do that.
Yeah, that sucks.
But there was everything. Everything came as a big surprise to me. I was like a kid in a candy store, like, oh, ooh, okay, cool, like all over the place.
Now
Sean Carr was there to
coming
teach me.
Yeah. Now coming in, who are some of the people that you really, crafted yourself to, looked up to, and helped you along in that or in those early stages?
Jeff Greeno, right off the rip, because he was my original trainer. God rest his soul. Before he passed, he did amazing work with me. And then after that, Pat Sawyer. I want to say Pat Sawyer. He came down to the gym like all the time and put in a lot of work with all the students and taught me a lot of the moves that I know. And he's like, anything anybody wants to know, ask me, and I'm gonna do my best. And he said, I'm not a trainer, but I'm trying, and I appreciated that because obviously unforeseen circumstances of a man moved on for all of us, and I appreciated that. And he was really there to help mold me a lot.
Now you said 2002 you started, so 2022, 2023. Pat actually went through a pretty rough injuries that almost put him on the sideline for a year. So there's another trainer that you lost for a little bit of time as well.
Yeah. We were running through trainers at Excite for a little while, man. And then we got HC Loke, which is there's some solidarity there. He's not going anywhere. Love that guy.
Yeah, and listen, his little group, I love those guys. Every time they're out, they're Loke kids. That's what we call it. Oh, you're Loke kids. You know what I mean? Super cool. That's a great way to learn how to bump too. Working with Pat Sawyer, that giant, like he just chucks you around and picks you up and slams you down. If you're gonna learn how to bump, Pat Sawyer's the guy to work with.
Came in one day, he's like, power bombs. Who wants to take it first? I was like, let's get it out of the way. Let's get it out of the way. We're gonna start off strong. Let's go.
First time I seen him, I was like, what the hell? That guy is a monster.
It's humongous.
Yeah, he's a big dude. That's a bucket list guy. Well, I have to reach out to Pat.
When he had me up there, right? Like when he got me up there, I was like, all right, I'm gonna take this. And I was looking down to the outside of the ring. So it seemed like I was way higher up than I was. So I was looking down at the outside of the ring and I was like, oh God.
He's close to 7 foot, right?
Oh yeah. I think he's gotta be like 5, 6, 8, 7, 6, 7, 6, 8.
So he's around there. So if he has you up in a power bomb, you're up over 7 feet.
Yeah, and in the ring. So I was looking down at the floor, so made it seem much higher.
Yeah, you're on top of a ladder.
Of heights. I'm not afraid of heights. I'm afraid of falling from great heights, and that's exactly what I was about to do, but not fall, get slammed more or less.
Yeah, by a giant. Yeah, that's crazy. I love that guy. Love that guy.
Definitely feel it when he does.
One of the biggest things with wrestling, not only as the athletic side of things and training your body to do it, there's a character aspect. There's you got a deep dive. Have you ever been like a theater kid? Have you ever studied or done like character development classes or anything like that to help up that side of your game?
Yes, actually, I did theater in high school, and I did EPAC here actually in New York before I left New York and went down south. I did EPAC when I was a very young kid, and I was in a production of Grease, a couple other things, and then in high school when I moved down south, I was also in theater class. So I've always liked acting. I do a lot of voice like covers. I try to like do impressions and whatnot, and I've always liked acting. I've always been drawn to it. The entertainment aspect of it, especially since I've always liked wrestling since I was a kid, and I know those are great actors.
Mm-hmm. No, That's a great. I think more the younger generation is really starting to like. Okay, not only do I have to go to the gym, not only do I have to go to wrestling school, but I should probably take an acting class. I should probably learn character development. I should probably enter that world and get into local theater to up my game to figure out how to do things. Like a really good character person is someone who thinks of their character, but thinks, how would my character react to this situation? How would this character live like this? What does this character eat? What does this character drink? And once you deep dive into that, those characters in professional wrestling stand out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's one of the hardest aspects to get, especially when you have in acting and in theater, you're given a role, you're given a script. You do a lot of drills with training and things like that, but you're never told, all right, I want you to create an entire another being that's nothing like you, that has his own mannerisms, that has his own mentality. That's a completely different aspect. That's something that they don't teach you in theater, but that's also one of the most fun parts about getting to do this, because it's a prolonged evolution of your character. It can start all the way down here in Kareem to Polka Dot Weird W all the way up here in like a year. So that's one of the best things about it, and it's been a joy. And it's always a struggle to try to add new aspects and find new things, but it's like I said, ever evolving, and I'm always trying to add new aspects to Mr. St. James here.
So the Elijah St. James, the name, the character, where do you pull from this? Where did you get the name? How did you land it? What inspires the character?
Well, the first name Elijah came from my brother who passed away about 4 years ago. And his name was Elijah Maru Todorov. He gave me a majority of my tattoos. He gave me a place to stay when I had nowhere to go. Like, he was always there. He always had my back. Like, and he always encouraged me to go out and chase my dreams and things like this. And I regret that I never did it until he had passed away. He would have been so happy to see me out here doing any of this, man. So I thought, if I'm going to have to pick a wrestling name, I got a pretty cool regular shoot name, but I was like, I got to pick a wrestling name, and I know exactly what I'm going to pick. And it was
Elijah's
Elijah.
a great name. It's a good name. And not a lot of people rock with it. Like, there's not many wrestlers I can pinpoint that use the name Elijah.
I can think of like two in the history of wrestling. That's because I'm kind of learning Elijah Burke, and then obviously you have Drake. Other than that, I can't really think of any other Elijah wrestling. Not off the top of my head. I think
Elias.
Insult anybody out there named Elijah.
Yeah, I think Elias in WWE now goes by Elijah on the independent scene. I could be wrong.
I support it 100%.
Yeah,
I support it 100%.
So the St. James aspect, is there anything to that?
Well, after I got Elijah down, I was like, all right, I gotta think of something that sounds cool with Elijah. And that was what I was hard pressed to find. I don't really know if I had any influences where I came up with it from. Maybe just being surrounded by so many churches all the time, and I don't know, just always a saint, and then a name sounds really cool. So I literally just picked it because I was like running over a list of what would go with Elijah, because I have to use Elijah for my brother, but what would sound cool that not sound ridiculous.
Now, the cool thing about using Saint is you get to use that Saint logo. You know what I mean? Like how Saint Pierre used I don't know what the name of that logo is actually called, but it's a dope looking logo. And in wrestling, man, with you can put so much to that. You know what I mean?
Facts. And that helped me base some of my characters. So the name came first and then came the character. And from the Southern background that I have, it sounded like somebody that you would immediately in my head is like Elijah St. James. That sounds like someone I'm not going to be a fan of.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right. And so a Southern guy, a saint, he's going to be a holier than thou, and he's going to be a bunch of an asshole. That's what the name kind of helped me develop the character in a way.
Now, some of the promo photos and the one that we used here, obviously it's going to pop up, the beard. I feel like the beard is there, obviously, but you switched and now going with, I think the mustache look makes you stand out every more. I'm dead serious. Keep the mustache. If anything, wily that shit out. Go crazy with it.
What I found is a lot of people come to me like, "Oh man, that mustache, it looks terrible. It looks all." A lot of people are not a fan of the mustache.
They're idiots. They're idiots. They're all dumb. They're all dumb. Don't listen to them.
But that's the one thing I hear people in the crowd say when they try to get under my skin is something about the mustache. So the mustache works. Everybody else doesn't like it. Exactly the point. I think it looks great. And I'm glad you do too. I like it.
From
I'm
a
gonna
character
keep rocking.
standpoint, keep it. I think it fits your look better.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%. And the beard thing was I really just grow a beard. I can grow really fast facial hair. It can come in like a couple months. I'll have like a full fucking beard. So every winter, obviously, because it's New York and I came up here from being down south, so the winters kind of hit me harsh. So the first winter, I grew a giant face warmer on my face. Then I'll shave it off for the summer and I'll style it and do something weird. So one year I had mutton chops. One year I had like a long goatee. Like I'll just do something weird for the beginning of summer. And this one was a mustache, and I was like, I actually kind of I look good with a mustache.
Yeah.
So
And I think with the wrestling persona, I think you're stuck to it now. I think you're committed.
All right. Well, you know what? Then I got a mustache. I have the perfect shirt for this too. My friend gave me this a long time ago. I just said I wanted the shirt, and I didn't know why. It's like a handlebar mustache, and it says "Cougars Ride Free."
There you go. Especially if you do the homework I gave you about the movie to watch, that I think if you pull more of your character off this character, I think you're gonna find another level to this Elijah St. James that I don't think you realize, because your shoot job, and I think there's some aspects to that. And what better way to be a great character that stands out is kind of adding elements to it that turn you up to 11. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
Yeah. So in your wrestling career, you go through your. I'm sorry, what's that?
What was the movie again? I gotta actually write it down.
Gangs of New York. Gangs of New York.
That's what I thought it was. Okay, Gangs of New York. Yes. I did remember.
And the people in the chat who have seen Gangs of New York is now in their brain thinking of who I'm talking about, and they're probably like, "Holy shit, roll with that." So if you're in the chat, say it. Yeah. If you're in the chat and you agree, just give me a yes or or no if you disagree. But if you disagree, you're wrong. Yeah. So starting from the training aspect to getting into your first match, how long did it take, and what was your first match jitters like?
Well, I was training for about a month before I had my first match, because I had traveled out with a bunch of the other guys to an ECPW show that was a memorial show, I think, for Chad Jackson's mother, actually. And I'd only been training for a month, and there was a battle royal, and they asked me if I wanted to be in it. I didn't have any gear. I didn't have anything. So Seth Singleton gave me a pair of like some old tights that he had, and like some knee pads and some shoes. And then Trevor Terry gave me some elbow pads and some wrist tape. And I think I came out and managed him in a match. And then I went out for the battle royal. And obviously I was only a month in. So I was like, what do I do? Do we not know what we do? And they're like, no, just trust me. We're going to go out there. We're going to have a good time. I was there in backstage with Machitero and Luca Mancini. Luca Mancini was the guy that really was like, it's all right, man. When I was a month in, I had my first match as well. You're going to be fine. Just breathe. You're going to get out there and you're going to feel it out. Trust me. And he really helped me calm my nerves and get me out there. Yeah. I enjoyed it.
He has his own promotion, BYOB. Great job. He has a second show coming up. So shout out to Luca, brought in his second ever show. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a fun card. People in the chat saying great character to pull from, great villain as well. Vin Jones says that's dead ass. My son looks just like the Butcher Boy. So I'm telling you, I think you're onto something. Oh, bro, some of the lines in that movie that it's Daniel Day-Lewis, if I'm not mistaken, is the actor. But like, dude, some of the quotes in that movie from him are unbelievable. It's so good.
Super hard.
It's deep. He's one of the best villains in movie cinema history. Like, he's really good. Like, really good.
Make me feel worse that I haven't seen him before.
It's not a very like sought after movie. So the premise is we'll go off on a side tangent here. ADHD kicked in. The premise is essentially it's like the beginning stages of New York City, right? And it's very segregated, right? Like everyone's segregated. It's not just segregated by your skin color. Like the Irish have their own section, the Polish have their own section, and they all have their own grocery stores, own fire departments, and the Irish are very treated like the Irish are shit in this movie. Like they're not treated very well. And essentially it starts leading to all these different nationalities kind of coming together as gangs, and they just have this big war in the middle of New York City, and it's bonkers, but it's based on some historical accuracy when it comes to like how the early days of New York City were. And this character, the Butcher, is unbelievable. Like, it's a great movie. It's fantastic. Leonardo DiCaprio, Daniel Day-Lewis.
I mean, DiCaprio's in it?
Yeah, it's a monster movie. Like the actors go on and on and on and on. You can't. It's unbelievable.
All right. I'm definitely gonna check it out now.
Yeah,
I have no choice.
If you pull from that character, I think you're gonna take your persona to the next level. So what are some matches in your career that really stand out for you, and why?
The first big match that I had was with Axel Lennox, which is a good friend of mine. Love him to death. And it was on TV at like 2 a.m. on Fox 4 News here, the local channel, because Johnny had like a deal going on with them. And he wanted me in a match with Axel Lennox. And he said initially it was going to be like, all right, Axel's going to come in there. He's going to beat the shit out of you, and it's going to be on TV, and everybody's going to love it. And then Axel gave me like way more spots than probably at that point in my career I needed. And I got some moves on TV. And then, me and my friends stayed up till 2 a.m. Actually, just commented on here. We stayed up till like 2 a.m. to watch it. And that was like a big moment for me, just because I was just swelling with pride. It was a big match because Axel Lennox is a vet and a seasoned vet, and I love him to death. And it was just all around, was just a big moment for me. And I was like, this is awesome. That was one I really did enjoy.
Okay. Now when going into that, what you said you weren't expecting to get much offense, much things.
Yeah.
What exactly was it changed, without people knowing? Like how did that go about? How did that go? Like when you guys were in the back talking about it, did you guys have free roam to do what you want, or was it like they said, hey, go do this, and then he was like, no, I'm going to give you a little bit more?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Johnny was like, this is what I want to happen. And he came up to me and he's like, yeah, but that's going to look terrible. I want you to do a couple things. You know what I mean? We're going to make it look good. We're going to, yeah. And I was really appreciative for that. I was just like, all right, I'm going to go out there. We're going to Shawn Michaels Supercell Sunday. I'm happy to fucking be here. And he was like, no, I'm going to give you some things. This is going to look good for both of us. And that's like an admirable trait, especially in this business. Cause there's some people that won't do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just be like, no,
I get to be the superstar. All right. I'll take it. Who are some wrestlers growing up that that inspired you, or that you pull from when it comes to what you do in the ring, or character wise?
Well, like I said, like in freshman year, I was not super tough at all. And I was very unconfident, unsure of myself. And very reserved and introverted. And, I was a big fan of professional wrestling. So I literally stole my confidence from both The Miz and Dolph Ziggler, and like an early young Cody Rhodes and like Ted DiBiase, like not even like the higher up on the card, Mr. Kennedy, one of my favorites, guys like that. Like that's where I learned confidence, which isn't confidence. It's 100% arrogance. And that's where I kind of like developed my actual personality for like trying to get out of my shell, was I stole from that. And then I learned like, okay, maybe these guys aren't like the greatest example of how to be, more confident. Maybe I can develop that into something. But like a lot of those guys were like, they gave me a basis.
Shawn was everything I wanted to be as a kid, but could never do it.
Michaels, yeah.
That was my era. I dated myself, right?
Yeah, I probably dated myself too. I guarantee I did, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm like, oh boy, yeah.
Sorry, Jake the Snake Robert. I love him too. His promo style, I love, and I steal from that as well. Okay, I can go back. All right.
Jake is still the only wrestler that I met that I legit got starstruck seeing. Like, like a fangirl. Like I couldn't stop staring at him. Like I was like Charlie and Always Sunny, like looking across the bar. Like I couldn't. I was like, oh my god. Now, are you booked for the next New Era show?
Actually, I'm going to a different show for the next one. I'm going to try a different promotion. Actually, One Up Pro Wrestling called me and they contacted me. A good friend of mine, Father Derek, he reached out to me.
And he wanted me to the Steamtown Mall. I'm an Office fan. I'm marking out.
I'm trying to jump around. I want to experience every company and just get out there and try new places.
Is there anyone on the scene that you've been watching or seeing their stuff or on social media or even in promotions that you've been at and seen them work that you're like, man, I would love to get in there and do an angle or a match or a storyline with?
Oh yeah, there's so many, man. There's so many. You want me to pick one?
Yeah. Give me, you can more than one. Give me a couple. I love this. This is how I learn about new people, or I get excited because I know who they are, and then I'm like, ooh, that would be fun.
All right.
Another thing too, a lot of people listen to this, and if you start saying things, they tend to happen after they've been said on this podcast. I'm just saying, I'm just putting it out there.
All right. First and foremost, another young up-and-comer, Thomas TK Kennedy. I love him. I want to wrestle him 100%. I feel like our styles go really good together, and I'd love to have a bang with him. Trevor Terry, I've wrestled him once before, but I think he's an amazing young up-and-comer at any time. Siren Rain.
Ooh.
I would like to, because before I cut my hair, everybody was like, "Oh, hey, you did great out there tonight." And I was like, I haven't even been here yet. I guess we kind of look similar or
you
something.
And
like
would be actually would be a good tag team.
I agree completely. But someone made a post like not too long ago, and they were like, "Edge of Hope, amazing job," and they tagged me, and I was like, "Yo, love those guys, man," but I wasn't there. So Siren Rain, I want to wrestle him. Mike Skyros, I don't know how that man's not signed yet. I definitely want to get in there with him.
We are on the High Tension Network channel right now, where he is the defending reigning champion. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know. That one would get my nerves shaken if I actually got that one. I may have talked myself into an early grave, but I would be more than happy to. I definitely want to wrestle him. He's phenomenal, and he's going to be going up there soon. Pat, I want to have an actual match with Pat, my trainer, of course, a man that helped me out a lot. I want to get in there with him. All right, who else we got? Sean, if I could ever get Sean Carr, obviously. That's a big help. That's everybody's career. Yeah. Of course, I'm going to name the big ones. You got to throw them. You got to throw those guys in there. And Jay Flyer, I want to wrestle Jay Flyer 100%. I love that guy.
Okay, another good guy. I like Jay Flyer a lot. There's some fun names. Now, what I seen in that 4-way, I seen like just a lot of tech, like more like you took more bumps or a lot more striking. Is there any elements of your style of wrestling when it comes to what you do besides maybe what, like if someone's never seen your match, what can they expect when it comes to your character or what you can do in the ring?
A lot of strong style. And like out of nowhere, I can do some kind of athletic things. Like I like to do random springboards, but most of the time it's a lot of like mat based. I like submissions that look very grueling. I like strikes. Obviously, I like strikes. Big fan of knees. Anywhere I can throw them in there. A lot of strong style, a lot of hard hitting aspects with a high flyer mentality, sprinkled in there when the ropes are stable. And I'm feeling sure of myself.
I'll tell you what, if you like to bounce around a lot, especially when it comes to schools and learning and picking up things from different people, you should look up the Battlefield. Up in New York.
Battlefield?
So if you're really into that submission based stuff, I think the guy on the scene who's doing that better than anyone else is Prince Ahmed. He's a trainer up at that school. He's absolutely fantastic. They're having a show. No, not Battlefield, Battle Pro. It's Battle Pro. I do apologize. There's a lot of Battlefields and Battle Clubs and Battle Pros. I believe it's Battle Pro. And I think I could be wrong. It might be in Queens. I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with New York City, so I don't know what borough they're in. But they're doing a show coming up very soon. I think it's like Ruthless Lala versus Darius Carter, which is another awesome name out there that if you want to learn that villain character, Darius is someone that should be studied. But definitely I would look into going to that school. I mean, Masha Slamovich is up at that school, Prince Ahmed's up at that school, Jorge Sante is up at that school. Like a lot of really hard hitting New Yorkers are in that school. And I think if you really want to get that grittiness and that toughness and stuff, I think that'd be a school that I think you would excel at as well as also.
Absolutely. I'll definitely give him a shot and check it out. I want to get to the point where I can be so tough that I can wrestle without knee pads.
I refereed one match without knee pads, and I'll never do that again. I was cut up. Like I was like, how do y'all do this?
I see those guys there with all the knee pads, the strong style guys that are doing that. And I'm like, God, I don't know, man.
Toni Storm wrestles without knee pads now because she's so into that like the old school character where she did no knee pads and then she did wraps, and I think now she went back to pads. But like at first she was wrestling with no knee pads. I'm like, you're a psycho, Toni Storm.
Yeah, man, I respect anybody that can do that. I tried it like a couple times in training, and I got like the worst ring burn on my knees that I've ever had anywhere.
I got it on the side, like where like the joint where your skin meets, like when it folds when you bend your knee. I got it in there, and I was like, "What the fuck?" Like I only filled in as a referee to help one night, and I did like 3 matches, and I was gassed. Love and respect your referees. That is not an easy gig.
Oh, especially if they're the only one there and they get the whole show that they got to do. Man, dude.
Chat is doing great. If anyone has any questions in the chat, please get them ready. We'll be coming up to that section of the podcast interview here in a moment. But let's shift gears a little bit. Let's get outside the world of wrestling. What are some of the things besides pro wrestling in your everyday life that is like an escape for you? What are some things you're into?
Going to the gym, obviously it's got to be one of them. You know, if that's not an escape and you're not like motivated to do it and it's not like something you enjoy, you're not going to be wholehearted into it. So I make it fun. I make going to the gym something that I look forward to, because if I look to like, oh, I got to go to the gym, I'm probably going to be like, let's not. So I get to go to the gym tonight. You know what I mean? I get to go out there and I get to train something else and make it better. So I make that fun for myself so I can get in there and do it. Other than pro wrestling, what do? I like to go out because I travel a lot for work, so I get to see like a lot of the parts of New York that are really cool, like Ithaca and Watkins Glen and things like that. And I like nature, so this summer, I'm gonna get out and I'm gonna go hiking and jumping off of buildings into water. There's this one place out in Ithaca my friend showed me. I'm gonna go jumping off some buildings into this like little waterfall area. I did it like a long time ago, and I want to do it again.
The Finger Lakes are beautiful.
Oh, absolutely. I work up by them, and then like I can't do anything because I'm up there, on duty. So it sucks.
I'm a craft beer guy, and they have all the those craft breweries and wineries up there. That's a blast. War Horse Brewing Company in the Finger Lakes. Put them on your list. Go drink their beers. They're absolutely fantastic. Probably one of my favorite places to get. Yeah, they're like a World War II inspired war bar, and it's like pinup girls and like old war like they're really, really cool. My dad lives up in that way, and every time I come home, I'm like, you didn't bring any War Horse home? Like, don't come home if you're not bringing War Horse. I love their beer. Are you into like anything pop culture wise? Are you, like, I see you have the music banner behind you, movies, music, video games, comic books? Are you into that kind of stuff?
Oh yeah, I mean, of course I play a bunch of video games. I'm a young man. Every young man's got to play a bunch of fucking video games.
What are you working on? What are we playing? What are we playing?
Oh, but right now I'm doing another playthrough of Red Dead Redemption 2.
Can't go wrong with that. Can't go wrong.
I love that game.
You don't have a mustache like that and play cowboy shit. You know what I mean?
I gotta love it, man.
It's such a good story.
American Frontier, I would have been shot immediately, but I would have had so much fun up until that point. No, I'm done.
What else? What other games or movies or music?
Obviously I got the WWE game. I got that one downloaded. Fallout, it's always a good classic I like to play.
I'm actually starting a Fallout stream. Because the popularity TV show. I've only played Fallout 76 when it first came out, and it was a dud. It was a broken game. It didn't play right. There was no NPCs. Like, you couldn't do anything. And I've never touched it in like 3 years it's been out. So we're gonna start from the beginning and do a stream of playing throughout the fall. Like, me and whoever else wants to join. If you guys want to join the stream, let me know. You can play along. But we're gonna start a Fallout 76 stream.
Hell yeah, I'm definitely down for that. I think I have Fallout 76, so I might jump on there with you.
Yeah. Music wise, what do you like to listen to?
Oh, my music ranges all over the place, like quite drastically. And when I say that, I really do mean it. But obviously I have Mr. XXXTentacion behind me, a rapper who was taken a little bit too early in his time, but he was me and my brother Elijah is one of our favorite rappers, a big influence in our time. Like, that's when I was like 18, 19, 20, like really coming into like adulthood and whatnot. And there was a couple big rappers out in the name, him, Juice WRLD, Lil Peep, you know, just to name a few that were big influences, especially in that point in time in my life. But my music aspect ranges, man. I got everything from Melanie Martinez to Chelsea Grin to Hank Williams to Perry Cuomo on my actual playlist. Like it ranges and jumps like a madman. But that's just because if it's good music, I like it. You know what I mean? I don't really get genre specific. If I like the way they sing and I like the way the music is composed, I get it. I listen to it.
I get so stuck in like an era. Like I haven't done like I have not broken out of like that emo phase like since high school. So like I still had that whole genre. I'm definitely emo is forever for my thing. I'm obsessed with Ghost. I can't stop listening to Ghost. That's why I came out to Ghost at the show, like in a school full of children. Satan, Lucifer.
Yeah, absolutely. My brother would agree with you right now. He's playing it. I can kind of hear it over there. He's playing it right now. I think it's Mariana Cross.
Yeah, it's a jam. Yeah. I seen them live once. I would definitely do that again. I'd go see them in a heartbeat. All right, let's get into some of the questions. We do got some here. Thank you guys for participating in that. Lily says, what is your biggest motivation when things get tough?
When things get tough, my biggest motivation. After I, fall apart and have a mental breakdown, my biggest motivation, man, is my brother. After he passed, is I really get to see that not everybody gets a chance to do this, and by do this I mean live to a decent age, to live, to get to chase your dreams, to get opportunities, to get to speak again, to get to move again, to get to do anything. Like when times get tough, I'm like, it could be worse. I could not be here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Older brother or younger brother?
Younger, not by too much. Not by too much.
Okay. You speak of him as the only reason I asked that was the vibe I was getting, the way you speak of him was definitely a big brother vibe. Like
oh yeah, he's a big brother. He's way more well put together up top than I ever was.
Yeah, you speak of him as like you looked up to him a lot, and I was getting 100%. Big brother vibes. Yeah,
100%. I looked up to him, man. He taught me a lot of things. Like when I was really young, I was a hothead. I was mad aggressive. I was mad rude, and like I was like, all right, I'm gonna bark at everybody and leave me alone. I'm gonna stay in my room. Don't talk to me. I don't like you. And like I didn't like people, and he broke me out of that shell 100%. And he taught me compassion. He taught me kindness. He taught me genuinity. He taught me like what I was portraying. He's like, that's not you, and I know that's not you. So why are you doing that? I was like, I don't know, So. He taught me a lot. I look up to him 100%, man. He taught me how to be a man, a better one than I was,
And you said he did a lot of your tattoos. So I'm looking here again, and I see this sai, right? It's a longer bladed sai, but for the most part, I would say it's a sai. If I'm wrong, correct me.
That one actually wasn't done by him. That was done by a guy named Steve Sai at Sacred Skin Inc. That one, everybody hits me with the Brock Lesnar from Wish. They always hit me with that, but that actually wasn't inspired from Brock Lesnar. The placement may have been a little bit because I liked it in stabbing into the throat aspect, but the blade is actually based off of my shoot name, which is Elric. And there's a book series called Elric of Melnibone, which is sort of like this cynical leader of like these older warrior people who are mean and nasty, and he tries to break away from that and be kind, but he's faced with a bunch of adversities and doesn't do a good job at being the nice guy. So I always thought and he's addicted to drugs. That's how he stays alive. Things among that nature. And I was like, oh wow, good pick. You know what I mean? For a name. So I always felt like that was kind of like, I don't want that to be my story, but it's my name.
So I see a sai and I immediately go to pop culture. I immediately go to my childhood. I immediately go to the Ninja Turtles of 100%. And you definitely give off Raphael vibes. You're definitely Raphael.
I'll take it, bro. Yes, yeah. I appreciate that. I appreciate that one a lot, actually.
It's funny because the way you describe your brother gives Leo vibes, and then you give Raph vibes, and then you have a big sai on your chest. I was like, I love this. Like,
I will take that 100% from the Ninja Turtles. That was an accurate placement for both me and Elijah. That was good.
Now, other tattoos that you have, what are some of your favorites, and why did you get them?
The Tree of Life. The Tree of Life right here. I like that one. It's the Tree of Life that X had, and my brother got it too. I'm going to tell you the funny one. The one that everybody talks about is obviously the giant spider on my neck.
Yes.
And that one's from Hunter x Hunter. It's from an anime that's one of my favorite animes because it just
lost me in anime. I'm still getting into anime. I'm terrible at them. I just started my first anime. I'm proud to say I'm officially 2 episodes in.
What is it? You got to tell me.
Demon Slayer.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Right, I'm 2 episodes in. I've lasted an episode and a half longer than any other anime I've ever tried.
What other ones have you tried? I have to know.
Dragon Ball, couldn't do it.
Okay.
You know what it comes down to? I'm sure this is a rewash. Everyone's probably sick of hearing me say it, but like I have a hard time with like the style and the voice acting and just like the culture of it. Like it's not my culture. It's not something I can like adapt to. Like the inner dialogue, outer dialogue happening all the time. Everyone's always crying. I can't. You know what I mean? Stop crying. Why is everyone crying all the time? Like. And Attack on Titan is the other. I seen an episode of My Hero Academia with a bunch of people in the room, and everyone was crying, and they're crying, and the show's crying. I was like, I'm out. I'm out of here.
Yeah. You want like a lighthearted anime that doesn't take itself super seriously?
Always. I'll take all the recommendations.
One Piece. That one. It's a long one, and actually, Lunik, he's a wrestler. He recommended that one to me. And I just came off of watching Naruto all the way through for the first time ever, and that one takes itself very seriously. And then he's like, "Oh man, now you gotta watch One Piece." And I was like, "Okay, all right, let me get ready for this." I was about to get emotionally ready, and then there's this stretchy guy just beating everybody's ass and making me laugh, and I was like, "This is fucking great." Yeah, and it's got a good story behind it too. So I was like, "All right, I need a good lighthearted anime." You know what I mean?
There's one anime that everyone's telling me with the suit of armor.
There's a guy named Elric in that too, I believe. It's Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah. That one everyone talks about too. Oh, Death Note is another one people tell me about all the time.
Death Note, I've seen Death Note. That's a good one.
Yeah, I seen the movie and I loved it, and I told people that, and they get mad at me for liking the movie. I'm like, you're not gonna give me William Dafoe as a demon and me not like it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna get William Dafoe as a voice actor and hate this thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. I get it. Listen, I read comic books. I love The Walking Dead as a comic book. TV show can suck a nut. I thought the TV show was terrible.
Fair.
So I get it. I get when anime and real world movies collide and one don't like the other one because they're attached more to the original piece. So I vibe with that.
That's a fact. Matter of opinion.
Yeah.
Thing.
So another one here. It says Elijah mentioned doing impressions earlier. Does he do any Red Dead Redemption impressions? I'm sure I feel like this is inside information here.
All right, I can try a little bit of John Marston. What part in your plan covers feeding the man of the alligators, Dutch? I don't make me even try an Arthur one. Out of the damn worry. He just grumbles everything. Yeah. Mostly I just do a bunch of accents. I like accents. Yeah.
My go-to is every time I do my watch-alongs, I always end up doing like 3 minutes of Jake the Snake Roberts. I do. It's not good, but in my brain, it's amazing. But yeah,
the one there's got to be the Macho Man.
So there's a Macho Man, and then there's like being good at Macho Man. That one comedian is amazing at Macho Man. I forget his name. I just watched him on TikTok. He's so good with it. Like. I don't know. What's his name's a good impersonation too. Karrion Kross does really good impersonations. You ever hear him do Jesse Ventura?
I haven't, but I'm definitely gonna look that up because that's awesome.
It's amazing. Yeah, I got to hang out with him for a day at an autograph signing, and he did the impersonation there, and I was like, "Holy shit, dude!" And he's like, "Yeah, that's like kind of like my secret talent." And then he did it with Chris Van Vliet, and I was like, bro, he's one of the most charismatic human beings I've ever met. Like, they're not doing him justice on WWE.
You could argue that about a lot of people, but I've always liked Karrion Kross too, especially his NXT
huge
run.
Huge fan.
I love the gimmick. I love everything about it. So yeah, I agree. They need to be doing more with him, but they also need to be doing more with a lot of people.
Now, do you still consume as much wrestling as normal? Like being in the business, do you still try to watch as much, or do you kind of like get burnt out?
Now instead of me calling it, I got to watch wrestling, I got to study tape. You know what I mean? So now, yeah,
tape study.
And I'm like, oh, why are you leaving the gym? Oh, I got to go study tape. And you're like, oh, okay, this sounds pretty important. I'm going home to watch wrestling.
Yeah. What do you prefer right now? Are you like, what promotion do you watch the most of?
Oh, I watch AEW, I watch WWE, I watch some New Japan if Lunik recommends a good match for me to see. I watch wrestling, man. I watch wrestling.
Appreciate the subscribe, Will the Gray. Thank you so much. I'm not sure. Oh, it's a YouTube subscribe. That's what I need. We need those YouTube subscribers. You can also join if you guys want. It's $1. Help the boy out. You get cool emotes. But yeah, do you prefer a brand over? Like, I like everything, but like if I had to really say like what brand I look forward to the most, I prefer AEW only because it seems like an independent feel with a budget. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the match styles. The match styles for me definitely set apart for me when it comes to the AEW style.
Real wrestling versus sports entertainment wrestling argument.
WWE is getting better. They're getting better with it, but like if I have to watch another week of or a main event on Monday Night Raw and SmackDown ends in a DQ, I'm gonna scream. Like I'm so sick of it. It happens way too often.
Well, I mean that's creative not being so creative.
Yeah.
But yeah, which one do I prefer over? I can't really say, man. I've always liked the entertainment aspect of it because you know what I mean. Like it's like soap operas for men. That's the part that gets you enthralled and leads up to the giant fight. And I feel like there's a lot of storylines and a lot of things that AEW could have done with a lot of different things that they didn't capitalize on enough or didn't like draw out enough. But I do love the bangers that they put on in AEW.
Yeah.
And they also have some dope storylines that I can get behind too. So I mean,
AEW too is like people I've been watching for 2 or 3 years on the independent scene, and now they're on AEW, and you're like, oh, they're killing it. I'm so happy for them. Like Swerve and Willow and Orange and Kingston. Anytime Eddie Kingston's on TV, Jesus Christ, give me all that. Give me as much Eddie Kingston as my heart and soul can take. You know.
That's a fact. Got to represent New York, and I feel like he's the best way to do it.
I'm gonna say though, I love Eddie, but when I think New York City, and I especially maybe more of the upstate New York, I'm a Brody guy. Give me Brody Lee. You know, I would love me some Brody Lee. I have my Dark Order mask up there. I got like 4 Brody figures sitting down here. Like, it's fun. It's cool meeting a bunch of people who trained at that school that he was at. You know what I mean, and meeting them and like hearing the positive stories of him and like, just I don't know. I was always a fan of him. I liked him as Luke Harper, and then when he came over to AEW, I was like, thank God, this guy's so good.
That's where I really got to see like a lot of them was the AEW and Dark Order thing, and I was like, oh, I can absolutely love it. I love it because they were doing the thing, the build up, who's going to be the leader of the Dark Order, and I knew Luke Harper, and I was a fan of it. But when he came out as a leader and he got to wear suits and like do his own thing and be like a crazy call leader, I loved it. I was like, this is awesome. Like I was enthralled with that. I was stuck on that. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. $4.99 super chat. Thank you so much. Tantalizing Tony says, I got my interview style from ABJ. Thank you. I got my live stream from skills from Tantalizing Tony. So it was a trade-off. Here's a good question. Brother, here's a question for you. Where do you see yourself further in the future? Our basic couple goals.
Further in the future, wrestling 3 times a month, as many places as I can, as many promotions as I can.
3 times a month? Come on, you can pull Fridays and Saturdays. Let's go.
Exactly, dude. That's what I want. That's what I want.
Special players.
as much as I can get out there and wrestle, like I just enjoy it. Like if I'm not wrestling, what am I doing? I'm just sitting here playing Red Dead or Dead. I can do that, man. You know what I mean? So I want to get out there as much as I possibly can. I love wrestling. I want to wrestle and possibly maybe give me a little bit of championship gold. That's got to be the goal of every wrestler. Got to be.
Yeah, absolutely. So where can people, if people want to book you or get you on their shows, where can people reach out to you? Where can they find you? Where can they support you?
Oh, you can find me at Elijah St. James on Instagram, Elijah St. James on Facebook. Same with the Snapchat. I got all my content out there. You can message me there. Fans can, anybody can. I'm real easy to talk to, and I'm normally available.
Awesome. Well, listen, thank you so much for your time. Anything that we didn't cover that you wanted to get out there?
No, I feel like we had a good conversation.
I appreciate you filling in last minute. This month has been the absolute worst luck for me. I think every interview this month, somewhat like life has come up and people had to reschedule or rechange. We're getting everyone who was supposed to be on will be back on in the future. There's nothing crazy going on. It just, life gets in the way, and sometimes a podcast takes a back seat, which 100% I totally agree. But I appreciate you coming on last minute. I appreciate finally meeting you and seeing you in action. I hope we cross paths more in the future. Hope more places reach out and book us both. You know what I mean? I do commentary. Bring me out. You know what I mean? Have him wrestle, commentate. It'll be a blast. And next time I see you, we got to record a 5 question with ABJ.
Yeah, man.
All right. Oh, a little delay. Man. Go ahead. Appreciate you guys so much. Here's some music by the Converse Kid. Once again, make sure you check the links below. Follow Elijah St. James on all social media. Check out ABJ on all social media platforms. If you're watching over on the High Tension Wrestling Network side, come over and subscribe to the ABJ side, or vice versa. If you're watching this on the ABJ side, head over to the High Tension Wrestling Network page and subscribe to them. They put out a lot of great content, a lot of stuff, great stuff there. So make sure you go over and click on their page and go show them that love and support. Here's some music by the Converse Kid. We'll check you guys on the next one. We're out of here.
Thanks for watching this presentation. Like, share, and subscribe for more.